So I'm going to do a video covering Eminem's Astrology, and me and Eminem actually have very similar astrology placements, and we're going to cover all of that, and we're going to cover what all of his astrology means and how it relates to me, and how that's affected him, and why he is the way that he's like, and how he is, and whatnot. So, starting off, we're both the sign of Libra. Both of our suns are Libra, the zodiac sign Libra. So the sun is what me and Eminem are both interested into. Both of our actions, the energy that our actions look like are Libra-like actions, which is what? Being diplomatic, trying to create balance, and representing something. Now, what are we being the representatives of? What energy are we trying to represent? Obviously, something to do with balance and whatnot. But whatever our Mercury is, and what our Mercury, that's how we think. That's the mindset that we have. And me and Eminem have the same Mercury. Both of our Mercuries are in the same place, which is Scorpio. We both have Scorpio Mercury. And Scorpio is, as we all know, a Mars sign. So Mars is aggression, passion, war. So we're what is called the war diplomats. We represent war very well. And, Eminem's song, my words are weapons. It's because we do. We use our words as weapons, and all Libras are really, really sharp with their tongues. We have really, like, whenever we talk shit to somebody, like, the words that we say, it'll scar you for, like, ever. Just how we say it, and the information that we put into it, the details, it's almost like an art that Libras just naturally have, to be very sharp with their words, but especially when they're because your Mercury sign can only be within the 3 signs of your sun sign. So there's only 3 signs that a Libra sun sign can have for their Mercury, and that's Virgo, Libra, or Scorpio. Me and Eminem both have Scorpio. Scorpio is the most aggressive of those 3 for sure. Possibly of all the zodiac, Scorpio may be the darkest and most aggressive sign. It is the darkest sign, for sure. Aries is also pretty aggressive, so what aggression is, that could be debatable. I could think about that and talk about it in other videos or something. So, Scorpio, they have the stinger, right? They don't just attack you. They're like very secretive. Scorpio is the most secretive sign. And Scorpio is very passive. They're not directly aggressive. They're passive-aggressive. So I'll give Aries that. Aries is probably more aggressive than Scorpio, but Scorpio is still darker. So we create balance. All right, Libras, our interests and our actions, balance. We create balance. We're interested in balance, harmony. We create balance and harmony by using that stinger, by utilizing negativity to neutralize things. If there's negative energy, we send the exact amount of negative energy that we see towards that negative energy. If that negative energy is imbalanced, if there's more negative than there is positive, we got to neutralize it. We literally put a mirror up to it. Often the way that you get rid of something is you just put a mirror up to its face and you give it back exactly what it's giving out. And if it's unbalanced, it's going to see that. If it's out of place, it's going to see that. And, yeah, we're the war diplomats. That's how we create harmony. We force people to do shadow work. We force people to deal with their own shit and not put it on us or our environment, because we like our environment and our surroundings balanced. And it's not like we're going around into everybody's space trying to create balance, because not everybody needs or wants balance. And that's where some Libras get it fucked up. A lot of us feel like we should have access to everybody's space and we create balance. No. You have rights to create balance in the spaces that are warranted for you, that you belong in, or that you want to take possession of, or any space that you want to claim as yours, or space that you have to live in for like your own sanity or survival or something like that. Those places, that's where you create the balance, not everywhere. That creates more imbalance, because that just creates resistance. Not everybody wants or needs balance. It's you that wants and needs balance. But yeah, so let's get back to the point, straight to the point. How me and Eminem work is we use our words as weapons. Our greatest weapon is definitely our words, the things that we say to people. That will do more damage than any amount of physical harm that we could ever do you. Our words will do you more harm than any physical harm that we could ever bring you will. And that's not to say that we're going to cause you less harm than somebody else that's really good with physical violence. I'm a martial artist, I'm deep. I know how to be physically violent. That's besides the point. All I'm saying is that verbally, and how we can intellectually come up with things to say to like really hurt somebody, we go really deep with that. So if I'm good with physical violence, but I'm a war diplomat, a Libra with Scorpio Mercury, I'm really, really good with verbal abuse and verbal violence, verbal combat, debates, arguments, things like that. I'm really great with things like that, because I will have invested way more time and have put way more thought into doing things verbally and through debates and things like that than I have invested time in learning how to do it physically. Because just by default, that's how it works with astrology. The astrology is the sun, alright, what you have invested your time into, and Mercury, things that you have thought about. So let's talk a bit more about Libra. Alright, Libra is an air sign. There's only 3 air signs, and Libra is the only initiator of air. So we initiate people into ways of thinking, and we initiate people into like thinking about things. We have people, we get people to think about things. You know, if something's boring and there's just not a lot of, like, people feel like there's not much to think about something, we can come in and say some stuff and really get people thinking about it deeper. Then, like, we could even do that in manipulative ways. We could make people think that something is way deeper than it actually is, just because we're so good at getting people to think. So we're the initiator of air, logic, thinking, or not thinking, but logic and ideas. We're also the only Venus sign besides Taurus, and we're definitely the only sign that is air and is Venus. So what is Venus? The planet Venus. The planet Venus is it's the planet that is associated with love, and it's also the Mars is the planet of war and aggression and whatnot, but Venus actually is 10 times, like, or however many times, it's a lot more powerful of a warrior than Mars. In fact, Venus is the planet for war, because it is just so powerful that when it chooses to get into aggressive energy, there is nothing that can stop it or get in its way. Venus is by far the top warrior planet in its feminine energy anyways, but Mars is definitely the planet that is more associated with war, just because by default, like, it's always in a warrior type energy. But yeah, Venus is the planet that gives you life. Venus is the planet that gives you energy to want to create, that gives you energy to want to express yourself and communicate and connect with people, and to express yourself through art and to just create art. Venus is that planet that is love, that is like being in love with things and just relating to things and things like that. But it's also just, it's life force energy is what Venus is. And Libra is ruled by this planet. So we're all about our relationships, and we're cardinal air. So when the only other Venus sign would be Taurus, which is Venus energy, but in the darker, that would, in the more, so Taurus is the earth element, alright, fixed earth. It's not abstract. It's not so much about like abstract arts like music and paintings. It's more physical arts, like things like martial arts or like things like yoga, things like that. But for us, the Libra thing, we're more in our heads. Our love and our art form, the way that we relate and express ourselves, it's through words. It's through more abstract things. So that pretty much sums up the zodiac sign Libra, which me and Eminem both are, and that's why we're both into music. I have a lot of music uploaded on my YouTube channel right now. I'll play one of the songs. We both like to make similar music. The music that I've always enjoyed making, a lot of it has a lot of Eminem type vibes. Eminem has definitely always been, I've always loved Eminem, I've always loved his music. Definitely huge into his really dark songs, because it helps me whenever I feel like I need energy to just move forward or fight through things and whatever, and because Eminem gets real dark with his words, gets real warrior-like, and I like that, because no rapper gets as dark as Eminem gets. He gets really dark. So we're both into that abstract form of art, and we're both yeah, airheads. Airheads like to initiate ideas, make people think. Okay, now both of our moons. So his moon is in Aquarius. My moon isn't in Aquarius, but it cusps with Aquarius. So what does that mean? That means that my moon, my emotions, my reactions, how I feel on the inside, it's mostly the Capricorn energy, but it's like almost half. It's like 35% Aquarius energy. So me and Eminem kind of relate there, but his moon sign is actually Aquarius, according to the research that I've done. If they don't know his exact date of birth, they could be off, and it might actually be Capricorn, so we could have the same moon, but based on the information out there, it sounds like, based on his birthday and whatnot, his moon would be Aquarius. So we relate on that regardless. So what is Aquarius moon? On the inside, if you have an Aquarius moon, you feel very detached from things. You don't want to be emotionally bothered by anybody. You don't ever want to feel like there's somebody that can make you react to things. You always want to feel like there is nothing in this. If you have an Aquarius moon, because you're fixated in the air realm, you're fixated there emotionally, so you don't want anybody to be able to affect you emotionally, because you don't want to be moved from there. You want to be fixated in whatever you're thinking about that makes you happy emotionally, or like anything that your emotions are fixed on. It's going to be like your emotions are going to be fixed on, and you're going to process your emotions and everything through certain concepts and ideas and logic. And also, you're not going to allow or want anybody to be able to interfere with you in that realm. So you're going to be very, very emotionally intelligent if you have an Aquarius moon. So don't think that Eminem's like somebody who's out of control or just wild. He doesn't give a shit what you think. You could think the complete opposite of him, like that he is just this. Like you hate on him all day long, and just because of his Aquarius moon, he will never put up that shit with that shit. He will never let anybody change him, just because of what their emotions are directed towards him. He will actually go against that. He will use that as strength, as power, as he does explain that he tries to, that he aims to do that in most of his songs. You tell him that he's this, he wants to show you that he's the opposite. He just likes to rebel in general. And another interesting thing that I want to point out. So Capricorn and Aquarius, alright, those are the only two signs that are ruled by the planet Saturn. So that's interesting. Both of our moons are ruled by Saturn. The only two Saturn signs. So that even more connects us and relates us. Let's talk a bit about the planet Saturn. Let's just cover the planet Saturn for a minute, just to give you an idea. Alright, and the only difference is his moon is air Saturn. My moon is earth Saturn. So his abstract Saturn, me physical, grounded, material Saturn. Okay. Saturn is the planet of karma. It's the planet that gives you gifts and rewards, but also harsh punishments. So it's the planet that makes things really effective. If there's something that you want to do, if you utilize Saturn energy, it's going to make it very effective. So whatever you do, positive or negative, you're going to get even more of an intense of an outcome from it. Saturn represents doing things in a way that makes them work and makes them successful. Saturn is it's a very foundational energy. It's also a very boss-like planet. You know, it's the boss of its reality. It's a very powerful planet, and it's also it is a pretty dark planet. Saturn is a dark planet too, and it's dark not in the negative sense. It's dark in the sense that it doesn't like to involve itself with other people. It's very much just in its own world and doesn't let anything or anybody else in, and it just goes after what it wants and it gets whatever it wants, kind of thing. That's what I mean by dark, because it doesn't give and receive much light. It just pulls in and takes what it wants, and that's not a good or bad thing. We all need to utilize the dark and the light energy at times that it's necessary. So that sums it up. So both of our moons just make even more so our war diplomat energy even more effective, because it's Saturn. But for me, it makes it more effective in physical ways. So it makes me better at talking people into doing stuff with me, like so Capricorn initiator of Earth, so I would be better at getting people to work for me and do business with me and to look at me as like a boss, as that's like a literal boss that they come to for a job, kind of thing. When Eminem would be more like, is more like somebody who teaches philosophy on how to live your own life and be your own boss and not have a boss, so that you're masterless. You know, you're like a ronin, an unmastered samurai. You refuse to let anybody tell you what to do, and they lead as an example, and they don't really even like being in the position of telling other people like to do, but they still make really great leaders and can lead as an example of how you yourself can be like that, can be without a master, without anybody that can, tell you what to do. So that's Eminem's astrology, summed up very briefly, and how me and him can, and how he is in relation to me. So yeah, thanks for watching. NeptunesOwl, I'm out.